I'd like to introduce Commissioner Basil Miranda, Commissioner of L&I. Commissioner, would you like to say a few words?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Walt, for having me. I wanted to stop by and welcome everyone back to in-person hearings. And equally important, I wanted to thank you for your service. I mean, Walt does a tremendous job. His leadership is indispensable. And Betsy's vice and counsel as the chief building code official. This board is a really very effective board that does a lot of good work and makes a difference for the city. And I want to thank you all for pitching in and doing your part. As Walt mentioned, I describe myself as the commissioner that's responsible for the construction side of Mayor Parker's historic, reorganized, reinvigorated L&I. The splitting of L&I was the result of a L&I Reform Task Force that was in effect last year, and I happened to be the chair. And in that report, we recommended the mayor splitting up the department into the construction division and quality of life. However, we mentioned in the report that, that's a big lift. So we kind of suggested that, get your feet wet, Madam Mayor, and do it later in your administration. But the mayor would like the report so much, she showed her leadership and her support of the report, and she wanted to make the split right now in the first year of her administration. So it's an interesting development, and a lot of folks have asked me, kind of congratulate me and all that. But I tell them, if you're religious, please say a prayer for me because I have my hands full. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a lawyer, don't hold that against me. I spent most of my career in public service and as a lawyer on the union side of labor law. I was a union labor lawyer here in the city. I also worked for the New Jersey Attorney General's office for about 11 years as a prosecutor in the corruption and antitrust unit, and often joke that, at that point in time, late 90s, early 2000s, corruption was a growth industry in New Jersey. So I kept me busy. And then I came back to Pennsylvania under Governor Rendell, and he made me in charge of the Bureau of Professional Occupational Affairs, which licenses all the, administers the 29 state licensing boards. And I sat on a voting member of 27 of the 29 boards. And I had the honor of signing Betsy's license as a licensed professional engineer. It's one of the 29 licensing boards. Then I came back to the city most recently under the Kenny administration as a deputy commissioner at L&I. So kind of got familiar with the ins and outs and how things are done at L&I. Then I went back to Harrisburg for a few years as Deputy Secretary of Labor and Industry. And I happened to be in charge of, labor law enforcement, but also what came under my purview was the Industrial Safety Bureau, which of course administered the RAC. So that was an interesting development, and Betsy was on the RAC also. So we kind of go back a long ways. Then I came back to the city as head of Mayor Kenny's Department of Labor, and then of course, Mayor Parker asked me to come over to L&I. The main focus of this split with L&I was to have one group of L&I staff focus exclusively on construction, and the other group focusing exclusively on quality of life, property maintenance, landlord tenant, things of that nature. I think it's been working pretty well. I have 4 priorities. Number one, I want to reorganize and reinvigorate and revamp L&I training. Number 2, I want to focus on recruitment and retention of staff, because we're woefully understaffed. In fact, we just had a class of 20 inspectors come in like 2 weeks ago. And, they seem to be a real enthusiastic group. They want to make a difference. They understand what LNI is all about. They have construction experience. So we're going to try to get them trained as quickly as possible, get them to pass their certs and get them out in the field. Also, I want to step up enforcement of what I refer to as fly-by-night operators. That's the contractors, problematic contractors are not licensed properly, not code compliant, not meeting their tax obligations. All the things that folks that you deal with do on a regular daily basis. So I want to level the playing field and go after these fly-by-nights. I got that terminology from the Daily News Rumbling Structure series. If you may have read that last year. And I hadn't heard that term since growing up in South Philly. And I'm from Grace Ferry with so I want to go after those characters. They're contractors, but I use that term loosely. They're not contractors, right? They have a van, a ladder, and a hammer, and they call themselves a contractor. So we want to go after them. And underpinning it all is my fourth priority. That is to make LNI more accessible, responsive, and accountable to stakeholders, community groups, city council, contractors, and even our employees. Because we had some issues at LNI, whether or not the staff had access to what they call the 11th floor. And I try to encourage my staff to reach out to me at any time. And I also asked you to do that also. If you have any issues, don't hesitate to call me, email me, or even just pop in. I have an open door policy. So that's my approach. And hopefully we can really make a difference. And I want to support you folks in any way possible. Betsy kind of gives me reports and tells me what the great work you're doing here. So I just wanted to stop by, say hello, and assure you that I got your back 100%. So with that, thank you and have a good meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, first I want to recognize Richie. Bill.
Oh, I'll recognize them all, Basil. Trust me, I will.
Rich does a phenomenal job for us. And he's a real good team player. And anything we ask him to do, he does, and he does it with enthusiasm. So he does a real good job.
Absolutely.
You're in good hands, Rich.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bill and Nick. But take care.
All right, so thank you, Commissioner. Have a good rest of your day. So moving on, I just want to let everybody know, we don't have too many guests. I appreciate everybody who has shown up. There is a sign-in sheet in the back and there's some agendas in the back. We would appreciate you signing in so we know, who was here as opposed, also taking your comments. I would like to introduce the board for the folks that are in the audience that don't know who the board is. Mr. Bill Dobbins. Mr. Bill Dobbins represents, he's an ex officio member. He represents the Philadelphia Water Department. Michelle Brisbane, she's an ex officio member of the board. She represents the Department of Streets. Sarah Poindexter, who represents the building community. You're building, right? Yeah, development community. Okay. Mr. Mike Bellata, Mike Bellata is a master plumber and he represents the plumbing community. Brian Gilbert is also a master plumber. Brian Gilbert is an apprentice training instructor at Plumbers Union Local 690. Patrick McDonald is our sustainability person on the board who is very knowledgeable in sustainability and green technologies and brings a lot to the board. We have David Hoffmeister. David Hoffmeister represents the engineering community. Also a very valuable member of the board. We have, I'm sorry, let me go back. Patrick McDonald is also a master plumber. I apologize for forgetting that. We have Mr. Mike Ingram. Mr. Mike Ingram is also a master plumber on the board, and he represents the plumbing industry as well with the rest of the plumbers. Finally, Shane McNulty. Shane McNulty represents, he's ex officio member on the board that represents Department of Licenses and Inspections. And Shane brings you know, a ton to this board administratively and kind of keeps us going in the right direction. With that, that's our board and welcome everybody. I'd like to introduce the other folks here from legal. We have Hillary, Emerson. We have Matt. And we have the city's chief code official, Elizabeth Baldwin. And, Beth, would you like to, you have a few comments? Okay. So I answer basically directly to Betsy. We work great together and, Betsy is, she's come a long way in she's not come a long way, but she's brought L and I a long way. Many people know the initiatives that came in under her purview, and that was to make L and I more user-friendly, more accessible. She was instrumental in developing the Eclipse system, and she's really an asset to the people in the city of Philadelphia. We have our board's administrator back there, Rich Wade. Rich Wade, again, as the commissioner said, does a great job. He, you know, puts all the information together. We have Phil Motto back there from Boards Administration. Finally, our IT lady back there, Nick Terrell. She's doing all this here and she's gonna get us back working with in person. Who did I forget? Oh, I'd like to acknowledge recently retired L&I employee, Bob Gladhill. Bob Gladhill is also a master plumber and been in the plumbing industry for a long time, and Bob was very instrumental, one of the initial board members during the code development process back in 2017. And Bob, you know, we miss Bob all the time. I bet you Betsy does too. So that being said, as I mentioned, there's a sign-in sheet back there. There's agendas back there. We don't have many people here. We're going to go through some of our housekeeping things, and then what we're going to do is we're going to get to the public comments. When the public comment session started, what we decided that we wouldn't do was engage in a question and answer. We would just prefer to collect whatever opinions you're here to offer, whatever suggestions you're here to offer. If you have any specific questions, you know, about a code section or a suggestion, as opposed to us engaging in a question and answer, which might get a little lengthy, you can feel free to email anyone in Boards Administration, and they will make sure that the information gets to us, and we guarantee we will evaluate it extensively and give you a reply. With that, if you just bear with us, so we dispense with a couple housekeeping things, and then we'll get to the question and answer session. I'm sorry?
Everybody knows who you are.
I think everybody might know who I am by this
I
point.
didn't forget about
I'm
the
quiet. Hey, yeah, you know me, I'm the quiet one, so. All right, item number 3 of the agenda is attendance sign-in sheet. Roll call of board members. When I call your name, please signify by saying present. Dave Hoffmeister,
Present.
Pat McDonald,
Present.
Mike Ingram,
Present.
Shane McNulty,
Present.
Brian Gilbert,
Present.
Sarah Poindexter, Michelle Brisbane, Mike Bellotta,
Present. Bill
Dobbins, and your chairman is present. Item number 5 of the agenda, approval of today's agenda. A motion to approve today's agenda,
Motion to approve today's agenda.
seconded by Sarah. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 6 of the agenda, we're gonna blow right through this. Item number 6, approval of the October 3rd minutes. They were emailed to all board members and staff on October the 14th for review and comment, none received. Have a motion to approve the minutes of October 3rd.
Second.
Patrick? Brian? Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right. For the board members, item number 8, is there any unfinished business of the board? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on to item 9. Any board members or staff have new business to bring up? Told you, we're gonna buzz right through this. We'll eat up all them sandwiches. All right. With that, we will now open up, item number 10 of the agenda for public comment. David, why don't we start out with David Plant? David Plant is, I'll let him introduce himself. He's from the BIA. David and I were corresponding a little bit yesterday, had some specific questions that I think we took care of. David, the floor is yours.
Great. I think I'm really just here to thank everyone. My name is David Plant. I'm a principal of Ruggiero Plant Land Design, multidisciplinary civil engineering firm. Do a lot of design work in the city. And I'm here today representing the Building Industry Associates of Philadelphia, BIA. And we really would like to thank Chair Walt Krasnowski, as well as all the other board members, for allowing us to review and comment the proposed changes to the code. And really would like to thank everyone on the board and from L&I for all of the time they've put into this and thorough review of all of the updates for the 2021 International Plumbing Code. We relied on a really wide range of expertise in the BIA to review the proposed changes, and we're pleased to offer our support for all of them.
David, would you care to comment the one specific question that your group had, and then we've kind of answered that already?
We had one concern about push-on joints. Walt and I discussed that, and he clarified it for me, so.
So for the boards, to remind the board, we talked about the push-on fittings for DWV pipe, the kind of sharp-like fittings for DWV pipe. And to refresh the board's memory, we suggested eliminating that because we were in contact with the manufacturer and the manufacturer stopped producing that particular product. So was the motivating factor for us taking it out. David, and I commended David yesterday and today, did a really thorough review of the code, thorough review of our suggestions. And, you know, I'm glad we were able to clarify that. But David's specific because he's a civil engineer. He thought we wanted to eliminate push joints as an example on SCR 35, which were piping, which were not. So, you know, we were able to clarify that. And the board really, and the department really appreciates your comments and really appreciates your group's involvement in the process.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next up, Mike McGraw, would you care to step forward? Introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are, who you represent.
Thank you. Members, good morning, members of the Plumbing Advisory Board, Philadelphia License and Inspection. My name is Mike McGraw, and I'm the Executive Director for PAPHCC, Pennsylvania Association of Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors. I want to thank you for allowing me to provide comments today to the proposed adoption of the 2021 Philadelphia Plumbing Code. I represent plumbing contractors across the state of Pennsylvania, but today I'm here speaking on behalf of my members in Bucks, Delaware, Montgomery, and Philadelphia counties who are licensed master plumbers and perform work in the city of Philadelphia. PAPHCC is in full support of the city of Philadelphia adopting the 2021 Philadelphia Plumbing Code with the proposed changes suggested by the Plumbing Advisory Board. As technology continues to change in the plumbing industry, it is very important that the city of Philadelphia reviews and updates their plumbing code as changes continue to change with every code cycle. The health and safety of the people who work in and all the residents who live in the city of Philadelphia is why these updates are necessary and should always be reviewed every code cycle. I know from being part of the RAC Plumbing Technical Advisory Committee how time-consuming it is to review code cycles and suggest changes to improve the codes. PHCC thanks the Philadelphia Plumbing Advisory Board for taking the time to do the homework for code updates on behalf of the city of Philadelphia and my members. Again, I would thank you, and we are in full support of your proposed code changes.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Does anybody from the board have any comments or questions for Mike? All right, Mike, if you would be kind enough, I see you have written testimony, if you could leave it with staff. Um, Perfect, thank you very much, appreciate it. Sir, would you step forward and state your name? You would choose to provide comment? Yes,
Just wanted to attend this meeting. I'm with Cast Iron Soil Pipe Institute, and so I'm just kind of auditing the meeting. Thank you.
your name, sir?
Tony Gardner.
Tony Gardner. Thank you.
Yep.
Sir?
I'm just a plumbing contractor, my boss sent me here, RSB Mechanical, we just had me come check out, we do a lot of new construction, so.
Your name?
RSB Mechanical, Dave Spencer,
Dave Spencer?
no worries.
Spence, sorry. And your company name?
RSB Mechanical,
RSB. Do you have any comments or observations or anything? Well, thank you for coming today. The board appreciates that and appreciates your concern.
welcome, thank
Okay. Looks like that's all we got. Bets, how many comments did we receive over the job forum?
For written comments or for appearances?
Okay, comments.
So there were no written comments. There was a couple of sort of junk submissions. And for.
Okay. Just so everybody understands, the process that we undertook here to advise different, special interest groups. We notified the board and the department notified, 10 different special interest groups and sent them the information and asked them, offered them to come and provide public comment. I do believe that we will be receiving comment in the future from a couple of them other groups that didn't have an opportunity. They're still compiling. I know one of them being ASPE, the American Society of Plumbing Engineers, the Philadelphia chapter. I know they're working on some comments. And Betsy and I have been talking, and our goal and vision is to have at least one more of these public sessions and send that information out one more time before the legislation actually goes to city council. Again, to try and keep everybody all inclusive and, you know, to gather any comments and suggestions that we might have overlooked with our microscope, but
Well, can I add something?
please.
So I doubt you guys overlooked anything. That was a very thorough review. Thank you. But as far as the next step, we'll prepare this in the ordinance format, which can be very confusing to read. Because it's essentially, we're adopting the
last time.
2021. Yes, we're adopting the 2021 code. And then we're carrying over local modifications that were previously approved, and we're incorporating new local modifications as well. So it can be very confusing as to what's actually being changed. So our next step will be to send this in ordinance format to the law department. And I think that will be what we publish and draft once they okay it. So then folks can see what it will look like, and then they can have an opportunity to, again, ask the same questions, but it will be the same material. It's just gonna look different.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's important for the folks, you know, in the public to understand that, the changes or updates or clarifications that were just promulgated, as of April 1st will be retained and maintained in the next code cycle. And that's what Betsy was alluding to. And, the board remembers, you know, the last time the legislation went through, it was very cumbersome to read, but, you know, we definitely got through it for sure. Thanks, Betsy. Appreciate it. We have some folks coming in. I see Mr. Jim Moransky from the BIA. Welcome, Jim. Nice to see you again. Jim, would you care to provide any comment or say hello or let people know who you are?
Thanks, Sam. No, I'm just attending on behalf of the BIA. I think Dave is going to provide some testimony. His level of expertise is much higher than mine. Those amendments.
So I'd like to introduce Jim. Jim is a past president of BIA Philadelphia. Um, everybody remembers the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding. Jim was very instrumental on behalf of the building, community. He was one of the folks, including David Plant, who, was in a locked door room negotiating the terms of that MOU. And, I can say, we went in there and not such good friends, and we really came out, good friends and with a very good understanding of things. So Jim, thank you for all you've done with this process with the board. Thank you to the folks that you suggested to have on this board, your organization, because they've turned out to be absolutely immeasurable on this board. Thank you. Who do we got back here? We got, who am I saying?
Yeah.
Jeff. Jeff just came in. Jeff, so, to introduce Jeff, he came in a little late. He works with Betsy on the code development side. Jeff was kind enough, and Betsy was kind enough to allow him the time to come and sit in on a couple of our work sessions. Jeffrey's a code, he's a code expert. He brought a lot to us, and Bets, we appreciate you and the department having him there. Let me see. Terrence, I'm having a senior moment. I almost forgot your name. Mr. Terrence, he is a master plumber. He runs Just Plumbing in the city of Philadelphia. He is a board member for the Master Plumbers Association of Philadelphia. Terrence, would you like to introduce yourself?
How are you? Great job. Good to see all you again.
Do you have any comments? Did your group have an opportunity to review some things? Great. We appreciate you showing up today. Thanks for taking the time to come and be involved. We appreciate that. Appreciate that. With that, I think that's gonna be all the comments. Anyone else from staff or from guests have any additional comments? Any additional comments from the board? I'm sorry? It is easy.
It's a record.
Shane, do you have any comments?
I do not.
Mr. Ingram?
No comments at time.
Mr. Hoffmeister?
No, sir.
Mr. McDonald?
Thank you, everybody, for being here, coming.
Brian?
Nothing.
Mr. Bellotta? Yep. Sarah? Michelle? Bill? All right, so we've talked about this. I'd like to bring it up too. We're all proud of our board member, Michelle Brisbane. She's unfortunately going to be leaving our board very shortly. She got a promotion within her department. We're all very proud of her. And everyone, including me, especially on this board, wants to thank her for her contribution since day one. Michelle's been a part of the process since day one. And I was talking to the commissioner a little bit earlier this morning. And when we were putting this board together with Mayor Kenny and Deputy Mayor Laser, we started back in 2016. And I was an integral part in the very beginning of assembling the board. And I was very insistent on having ex officio members from the departments. Because when we had a board before, we never had that level of communication within the departments. The mayor's office at that time agreed with me, and Jim also made the same suggestion when we were working with the assembling the board. And that move has really proven to be instrumental in getting us to the place that we're at. Having the level of communication between the departments, but not only that, I've commended each and every commissioner on the appointments that they made to the board, because I say it every day, Shane's awesome. He keeps us, with the administrative stuff. He's a wizard with that and, he keeps us moving in the right direction. Because everything flows into plumbing and Bill, when, Bill got on the board, everything with PWD happens, PWD, it morphs into something with plumbing. And Michelle with opening the streets and just having that whole synergy has really, really proven to be immeasurable, absolutely immeasurable. I'm really grateful. I am grateful each and every person on this board. I say it to them all the time. They blow me away. But that said, Mr. Gledhill, do you have any closing comments that you'd like to make? I speak for all of us. We miss you. Ha, we miss you. And we have another guest, a very esteemed guest that I'd like to introduce. Coming into the room now is Mr. Matt Butterly. Mr. Matt Butterly is a master plumber in the city of Philadelphia. He runs a company called Big Dog Plumbing. I'm sure you've seen his dump trucks and trucks floating all over the city. He is also a board member of the Master Plumbers Association in the city of Philadelphia. Matt, I want to put you on the spot. You just walked in, but would you care to introduce yourself and say a few words?
First of all, thanks for having me. I'm Matt Butterly, as he said. I'm president of the Master Plumber Association of Philadelphia. Good to be here with everybody.
Well, we appreciate you being here and we really appreciate your group's and interest and involvement in this process. I think we're about wrapping up, Matt. You walked in, now you're clearing the room out.
Greenlee from here is rough coming down.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think all the comments and everything has suspended. So again, the board would like to thank you. Yeah.
We're gonna be here.
We don't know. That's part of our, okay. You want to put the cart before the horse. all the time. We, again, the board really appreciates everyone's, their interest in taking the time, for comment. The groups that are here, the cast iron, even right down to the Cast Iron Soil Pipe Institute. BIA, the Master Plumbers Association, PHCC, from the very start of this journey that this board started in early 2017, to give a little background and perspective of the initial code development process. This board had over 65 meetings when we initially made our suggestion for the new code to the department. Just so you know what that means, 65 meetings. So all these professional people up here at the front of the room took times out of their professional lives to participate in that process. That's 65 or 66 meetings, along with conference calls, along with, geez, I don't know, Patrick, thousands of emails. Everything you've done. Thousands of emails. I am proud of where we are in the city's history, in the department's history, and in our plumbing community's history. I just couldn't be more proud. So I thank everybody again. So with that was the closing remarks. Now, Mr. Hoffmeister, we will move on to item number 11 of the agenda. Our next meeting hearing is scheduled for Thursday, December the 5th. I do have on the agenda that the location is still to be determined, because I think we'll be, based on how, we're operating here today, I think the department, legal, and board's administration will evaluate whether or not we're going to be back here in December, or whether we're going to be virtual again. I can speak for 99% of the board members. We want to be back here. It's just, it's easier for us, especially in a hearing setting. We have a couple new board members, but for those who were here before, when we had in-person hearings, it was just a lot easier for us, and I'm talking specifically to you, Hillary. It was just a lot easier for us because of the technical nature of our hearings and what we do. It's easier for us to get our information and points across when we're actually facing an appellate. And as you know, we strive to give the appellate every and all opportunities, and, you know, we want to hear them and we want to help them. I can tell you, I can tell the folks in the audience that here of late, I would say most of this year, our cases have been very unique and, you know, really, really different. You know, difficult. Yeah, you're right, Patrick. They've been difficult, but again, this board has risen, you know, to that challenge. And they couldn't have did it without staff, you know, talking Shane and Bill and Michelle and Phil. You know, it's a team effort for sure. Absolutely, for sure. So again, I thank everyone. Geez, the hour being 9:40. Holy moly. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before we adjourn, I would just like to thank Walt for being the chairman of this board. There's nobody that I can think of that would have been able to do a better job through the code, through the hearings and everything that we're currently doing right now. You're one of the most committed people that I know in the city, and I think you deserve a round of applause for your effort.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do my best. I try.
Sure do.
Anybody else? With that,
I think you have job security there,
I don't have age security. I'm getting a little long in the tooth.
Long to see.
With friends like this, who needs enemies? With that, I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Dave, Sarah. All in favor?
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much.